morning, family. Welcome to our Chenchinwan Morning Devotion. Today is Thursday, November 23rd. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's begin by greeting our beloved Heavenly Parent and true parents. Chanjiin 참 부모님께 기영배. Prado. And for our family pledge, let's welcome Pastor Milhan Stevens.
가정맹세 1. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참 사랑을 중심하고 본향 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조의 상인 지상 천국과 천상 천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다. 2. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참 사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에서는 효자, 국가에서는 중심, 세계에서는 성인, 천주에서는 성자의 가정의 도리를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 3. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과皇族권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 4. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님의 창조의 상인 천주대 가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 5. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 매일 주체적 천상세계와 대상적 지상세계의 통일을 향해 전진적 발전을 촉진화할 것을 맹세하나이다. 6. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참부모님의 대신 가정으로서 천운을 움직이는 가정이 되어 하늘의 축복을 주변에 연결시키는 가정을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 7. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 본연의 혈통과 연결된 위하는 생활을 통하여 심정문화 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 8. 천여국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 천여국 시대를 맞이하여 절대 신앙, 절대 사랑, 절대 복종으로 신인의 일체 이상을 이루어 지상 천국과 천상 천국의 해방권과 석방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Thank you, Pastor Milhan. Since today is Thanksgiving, I'd like to ask you, Pastor Milhan, if you could say the opening prayer today.
Yes, let's pray. Heavenly Parent, good morning. We greet you this morning to a new day, a new Thanksgiving Day. And it's the day that across America, families and all people alike are seeking gratitude for all the things that they have and the love in their life and just your presence in their life. So, Heavenly Parent, I pray that this day, as many of your children as possible can be clothed, can be fed, can be sheltered, so that we can begin a change. Yes, sometimes we should be doing gratitudes every single day, but if collectively as one nation we can grow our hearts closer to you in prayer, in gratitude across the dinner table, then we can have hope that America can grow and mature as a blossoming nation that can make change all over the world and spread your blessings all over the world. So we thank you, Heavenly Parent. Please be with us as we read Mother of Peace together, and let us share in those joys you've longed for us to experience all this time. Thank you, and report in my name, Milhan and Psycho Stevens, a blessed to your family. Aju.
Ajia. Thank you, Pastor Milhan. All right, family, now it's time for our Hundake reading. We're reading from the Mother of Peace, our True Mother's Memoir, up to episode 21. Pastor Milhan.
Let's begin.
Welcome to Mother of Peace, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. A memoir by Hak Jahan Moon, a production of the Washington Times Global Media Group, narrated by Alison Hiroto. God's dispensation for the salvation of humankind is not something that happens in one generation. To carry it out, God has sought out and established central people throughout history. 2,000 years ago, how did God send Jesus, his only begotten Son without original sin, to this earth through the people of Israel? The Bible records that God had to restore a pure lineage in several stages. There are unresolved issues connected to this lineage that I must set straight during my lifetime, and so I set to recover and rightly establish the lineage of goodness centered on heaven. In order to give rebirth and resurrection to this complete lineage, and thus transform it into the true lineage whose center is God, I willingly took the risks that come with pregnancy and childbirth, including managing the birthing pains that put a woman's life in God's hands. I gave birth to 14 children over a period of 20 years. The first 4 were born in our small private quarters at Chongpadong. It was not until my 5th child that I was able to go to a hospital. Though it taxed my body, I gave birth to children year after year. Our second daughter died a few days after her birth. Our final 4 were delivered by cesarean section. It is rare for a woman to go through a C-section more than once. When I said that I would undergo it for the 3rd time, my doctor hesitated, saying it was dangerous, especially for a woman of my age. The doctor did not understand how I could insist so calmly on having another C-section, and he wanted to explain the issues to my husband. I assured him that my husband would agree with me, and I went through it for a 3rd and then a 4th time, thus fulfilling the promise I had made to God. My husband, being a charismatic spiritual leader, sometimes received unwanted attention from women. There was once a woman who appeared in front of him claiming to be Eve, and another who hid under his bed. As God's true son, and as a true husband and father, he never wavered. He, and I as well, felt only sympathy for such women. I encountered similar advances. Once, while my husband was away on a world tour, a strange person shouted loudly, "I am Adam," jumped in front of me, and tried to assault me. At the time, I was 7 months pregnant, and I was so shocked that I almost miscarried. I encountered the same forms of hardship that Father Moon did. At times, my reality turned into a whirlpool of tests and ordeals, and in my heart, I would feel like a little boat floating on rough seas. Knowing well my mission, I overcame those hardships through prayer. My silent perseverance and constant prayer actually deepened the members' devotional life. I always strove to maintain a generous heart, and my unwavering faith as a young person encouraged those around me. The greater my absolute obedience to and reverence for God, the more hope everyone felt. Sometimes my elders would hold my hand and whisper into my ear, "Thank you so much for the grace you have shown us through your sacrificial love." Victory through perseverance. Oh no! I've lost another pair of shoes. Even before the member would finish his sentence, those around him would know what had happened. Poverty sometimes makes people do bad things. At the end of Sunday services, we would often find that a pair or two of shoes were missing from the shoe rack. So whenever I had a little extra money, I would buy new shoes for members who had lost them. I also prayed that the person who had taken the shoes would set his or her life straight. Between 200 and 300 people would attend our services and other events, and there was never enough rice to serve them all. So we made porridge by boiling barley in a large iron pot. As the event progressed inside the church, outside we would make a wood fire and cook the barley porridge. Members would sit down in little clusters and share bowls of the porridge, and they were more grateful for this than anything else. "All of this is a gift from God," they would say. When I was pregnant, I craved tangerines, but we could not afford them. They were so expensive. One member learned about this, however, and brought some tangerines for me. I ate 6 or 7 of them on the spot. I was so grateful, I cried. When a church holiday would approach, I felt more anxious than excited or happy. I would have to start making preparations 2 weeks in advance to organize the deliveries of the offering table, towers of fruit and delicacies, banners, flowers and candles, hoping that there would be enough for each member to have an apple or a candy. Once we had made this offering to God, I would feel immense satisfaction. From my birth until my marriage, my path had not been easy, and after marrying, personal challenges impacted not just me, but also our movement. So I never deviated from the path of faith, obedience, and love for God. Just as Satan tested Jesus and Father Moon, he tested me. I persevered through those ordeals with ever-deepening devotion, because it was at such times that I felt most keenly the grace of God. In the midst of pain, God came very close to me and guided me with pillars of cloud and fire. My husband and I always conversed intensely on various matters. We could do so out of our infinite trust in each other. We went through so much together that we could understand each other with only a look. The life of Father Moon and the path I have walked bear an uncanny resemblance. Most people assumed that I was so happy that I wanted for nothing. "You received the seal from God as His only begotten daughter," they would think, "and you were born as a perfected being. Therefore, you attained your position with no effort." Many people were like this. They believed that as the mother of the universe, I blissfully had met Father Moon, formed a happy family, and enjoyed life. That describes my life from one perspective, but I have scaled mountains as treacherous and impassable as any in this world. I was able to surmount them all with my husband's love, which was more than any wife has ever received. Although I had 14 children, I never once thought that I had too many. Nonetheless, my children had to go through difficult experiences. When they went out to play, local people would glare at them. "Your father is Sun Myung Moon, isn't he?" Adults would shout at an innocent 5-year-old, "Do you know what your father does? The Unification Church is creating such a disturbance in the world." While in Korea, they were criticized for being the sons and daughters of Sun Myung Moon, and when we moved to the United States, they faced discrimination for being Asian. It pained me to see my children suffer, but I did not lament or blame others. I held them in my arms and set an example for them by offering prayers of gratitude. My husband and I cared for our children with love and devotion, but because we had so much work to do for the church and the Providence, we were unable to spend much time with them. One day, when my husband was on his world tour, Hyojin, barely 3 years old, sat on the bedroom floor and began to draw. Normally he liked to draw cars or bikes, But that day, he clumsily drew a face on the white paper. Even though I knew that it was his father, I asked him, "Hyojin, who is that?" Hyojin did not answer me, but drew a face on another piece of paper. Though it looked different from the first one, it was still without a doubt his father's face. Hyojin was usually very active, but on that day he sat quietly and continued to draw. He did not grow tired of drawing his father's face, even after spending the whole day at it, and he did not stop drawing it the next day or the day after. It was only when his father returned that he stopped drawing. I can still remember quite vividly how brightly he smiled at his father as he was embraced by him. It was as if he had been given the world. 7 sons and 7 daughters. True Father and I offered 3 generations as a true family to God, culminating when we, with all of our children, their spouses, and our adult grandchildren, taught God's Word and ministered the blessing in 180 nations, in what we call the Jubilee years, 2006 to 2007. I risked my life to bring our children into the world, and now they have their own missions and responsibilities that heaven wishes them to fulfill, and that I also hope they can accomplish. Although, as their parent, I may be unable to help them enough, I pray for them every day. If I had experienced only joyful things, I never would have been able to look into people's deepest, innermost hearts. I never would have known the joys of the kingdom of heaven. I have passed through the bottom of hell and experienced every kind of bitterness in life. God wanted me to train myself. What I needed was untiring faith, strong will, and perseverance. That is how I reached this point today. No matter who you are, you will not experience only sweetness and joy on the path to the kingdom of heaven. Going through spiritual struggle is, in fact, a most precious blessing. Through it, you can feel the grace of God. Only when you pass those tests can you be born anew as a true human being. The fruit of perseverance will grow and ripen within you, and one day will become the source of your deepest pride. I grew up in a time of global turbulence, from which my homeland of Korea was not exempt. As our people endured Imperial Japan's colonial rule and the Korean War, a wild rush of confused ideas and values wreaked havoc on our traditions. The people of the world, even the Christian nations, struggled as their societies descended into chaos. Where were we to turn? When there was no institution to depend on and no shelter to protect my heart, I remembered one thing: God is my Father. I grew up holding the belief that I would realize the dream and hope of God. Convinced that within my lifetime I would complete the long, sorrowful, providential journey to restore God's original ideal for His children, I retained my faith, no matter what happened. It is with this heart that I decided to receive the blessing in marriage with Sun Myung Moon, and, with him, work to prevent religious conflicts and factions from continuing beyond my generation. Conflicts caused by religious divisions must now stop. I am also determined to resolve racial divisions and the conflicts that have arisen from them. In 1982, I accomplished one of my promises to heaven. In the 2 decades after our holy wedding, I bore 14 children, 7 sons and 7 daughters. When they were just days old, my husband and I offered each child to God and the world. Each has supported us heroically in their own way, and each is now pioneering their own course. They have given us more than 40 grandchildren. Now I am always on the move, traveling the 5 seas and 6 continents, working to establish a world without war and conflict, and to release God from his sorrow.
Thank you for listening to Godable. Visit Mother of Peace Book.
Thank you, God, your parents, for these words today. So we've been talking about sacrifice, and now we know what kind of sacrifice Mother had to endure. It is emotionally treacherous, as she said, and physically life-threatening, with all the 14 children that she bore and the absence of their father. And it's it's like it seems like God's almost cruel to allow this to happen to her. Yet she also had the wisdom to know that through this challenge she can understand people and anywhere and everywhere. And the sad fact is that this is God's heart, crying out for every child lost. And so Mother had to inherit that herself. Some of the children dying, children betraying her. She get to experience everything. So this qualifies her. Well, I should say, no, she's already appointed as the Mother of Peace. It was now the course that she was able to overcome. And of course, not just retain her faith, but her love for God. God's dispensation for the salvation of humankind is not something that happens in one generation. If only it were that easy. That in one generation, one team, just like all the movies, right? They just win the battle and hooray, hurrah. And then just until the next enemy pops up in the next generation. So this is the challenge. How do you pass on, instill this love and fervor to continue God's lineage? That's the real challenge. So true parents are the only ones who've been able to overcome this through the blood lineage, through the blessing. Though it taxed my body, I gave birth to children year after year. It's like, wow. We went to the doctor for, check on Mama, her health after the baby. And the doctor was kind of warning us, please use birth control, or just, because a lot of couples, what happens is, the husband's like starved for a while. So and so they accidentally have another baby. That's really difficult for the mother. The mother's case, they ain't no advice like that. It was just year after year. So, because she was on a mission, it was dangerous. Doctors saying, "Hey, another C-section? Are you serious?" Trying to Guinness Book of World Records or something for most C-sections. Like, what is this? This is not a game. This is not something that the doctor's like legally bound to explain the dangers. And it's like, yeah, you just don't understand the reality of God and how this is a part of the plan. So yeah, that's the kind of danger Mother was in. At times, my reality turned into a whirlpool of tests and ordeals, and in my heart, I would feel like a little boat floating on rough seas. Knowing well my mission, I overcame those hardships through prayer. What is prayer? Prayer is seeking God's point of view. So when things are as bad as can be, well, maybe you should look at it from God's point of view and see this as an opportunity for you to grow, deepen your heart, connect with God in a deeper level. And that's always the case, no matter how bad your situation is. As Dr. Young would say, when your Han meets God's Han, that's the kingdom of heaven. That's when And it's now hopefully God is happy and God is joyful because the world's saved and everyone, there's no reason to cry about that anymore. Then yeah, then our connection with God would be mostly just joyful, happy. But not right now. God's still weeping and wailing over all of his children, her children. So hardship is required now to connect us to God. The greater my absolute obedience to and reverence for God, the more hope everyone felt. Some mother felt the responsibility she had even for other people's lack of faith. Poverty sometimes makes people do bad things. You know, being here in Harlem and experiencing, you know, I'm not in poverty, but I do feel the stress of not having the means to do whatever you want. Not that I ever had that, but it's just, it does create more stress. And so I can imagine for those who are really in poverty, the crazy stress they must be experiencing. And you know, that there's always temptation to justify different actions, stealing or cutting corners and stuff like that. So when you think of it, I also think of it on a spiritual plane, spiritual poverty. People who are really empty in their soul and they're just grabbing and trying to fill it with other things, but it just doesn't satisfy them. And so I feel sympathy for them as well. And even though they've amassed all this wealth and power, their soul is just, I don't know, I have this image of them scratching at this empty heart, trying to find something to satisfy it, and more that temporary hit of more wealth or just doesn't satisfy. I mean, it maybe temporarily, but that's it. So I think your parents understand. One member learned about this, however, and brought, like, this is about mother and the tangerines. One mother learned about this, however, and brought me some tangerines for me and bought some tangerines for me. I ate 6 or 7 of them on the spot. I was so grateful I cried. So I mean, it just shows like how much mother was suffering and became numb to it. Like she stopped, you know, many of us go through things for so long that you forgot like how much you're actually suffering. But the moment someone shows love or compassion, you can't control the tears. You know, when I was pastoring in Maryland, after church service one day, you know, one member came up to me, and I don't know, it was very random, but she came up to me like in tears, just said, you know, Pastor Milhan, on behalf of first generation, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, hey, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, fine. And then she just kept saying it. You know, I'm so sorry. Then, yeah, I don't know. I just wept and wept just right there on the spot. But it wasn't just like, I mean, first gen, everyone's just doing their best. It's not like I'm like suffering. In fact, like this is the best job in the world. I'd much rather be here than working some boring desk job, just withering away. At the same time, there's a deeper suffering, and I felt that was with God. And God, like it's complex to explain, but there's just so much effort being made by the first generation. Just like this feeling of compassion. Everyone's working so hard and suffering so much, yet, you know, when I think of first gen, I think of God. Honestly, I feel like, you know, you all collectively represent God to me. this unrelenting, this restless spirit trying to make peace in the world, but lacking the resources and lacking the prepared people to do it. And so anyway, it's hard to describe. And I think that Tangerine was kind of like how Mother felt. I could relate to that. I think we all relate to that for people who rely on us all the time. And the moment they turn around and say something kind, can kind of burst the dam of whatever emotions we've been kind of callous to feel. So I never deviated from the path of faith, obedience, and love for God. Just as Satan tested Jesus and Father Moon, tested me. In the midst of pain, God came very close to me and guided me with pillars of cloud and fire. Yes, again, God doesn't just put us on a difficult path, or Satan. Satan will give us difficulty, doesn't care how it turns out for us. But God does give us challenges that we can handle. And he'll give us vision and hope so we can see our way out of it. I have scaled mountains as treacherous and impassable as any in this world. I was able to surmount them all with my husband's love. Wow. I love Mother. She really does give credit where it's due. She's like, I can't. You think I gave birth to 14 children, did all this madness stuff without my husband's love? Like, no, I did it with your Father's love. Incredible love for me. That's how you could do it. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean that he could teach her what it meant to be the only begotten daughter. But she did it with his love. And it's important for all husbands to know, like, you have to love your wife beyond yourself. You need God's power. You're not going to do it on your own. It's just, you don't have enough in you. But that's what Father had. And so should all of us. So I love that. Mother's so great. Because we had so much work to do for the church and Providence, we were unable to spend much time with them. God, like, I just think of Hiroki, and I feel like, what can I do to spend the most time with him? But folks, we live in a different time. Ever since COVID, it's a Zoom culture now, right, Aunt Kathleen? It's like, you don't think God's behind that? You think, oh, that's just a random, situation. No, I think God literally saying, okay, thank you to your mother. You've demonstrated, we did all these rallies and just proclaiming only begotten daughter all over the world. Now it's time for us to go back home to our families. So enter the Zoom world where we can connect beyond time and space, or at least space, yes. And so I can spend time with my family, and I can further Providence, and I can literally come downstairs in the Chungcheon every day. So it's that time. It's exciting. This is the kingdom of heaven. It's forming. The Chanuguk. It's not some, of course, back in the ancient times when they were prophesying the with the cloud of witnesses and all this other stuff, little did they know that they're talking about the internet. They're talking about people witnessing online. They just have these visions and stuff, but we're literally experiencing it now. I mean, if they saw what we're doing now, back then they would think, wow, this is a crazy world. People like to just talking to each other, through these windows. So it's an exciting time, and we can have it all. Although as their parent, I may be unable to help them enough, I pray for them every day. So our heart goes to true family and everybody who left our church. That's why I believe. Milestone 1. It don't matter if you want to be prayed for. We're praying for you. Okay, that's how God feels. That is the heart of God, and that's what our heart is too. If I had experienced only joyful things, I never would have been able to look into people's deepest and innermost hearts. Yeah, again, it's the sad reality that people are suffering so much, and that's why we have to suffer so we can understand them. And so I would try to remind people, look, your suffering is not a detriment or a hindrance to your outreach. Your suffering is literally the means and the tools to reach people. Because, like I said, nobody cares about your perfect story. It's like you were born in happiness, you lived a happy life, and you died in happiness. Okay, nobody cares about that. They want to know how you were challenged and how you overcame, and so that they can relate and rise above their situation too. Going through spiritual struggle is, in fact, the most precious blessing. Wow. Okay. So next time you stub your toe, it's like, oh, thank you, God. My suffering, offer it up. Whatever. It's all good. Blessings. When there was no institution to depend on and no shelter to protect my heart, I remembered one thing: God is my Father. I grew up holding the belief that I would realize the dream and hope of God. To work to prevent religious conflicts and factions continuing beyond my generation. She's doing it. Other people talk about it. World peace, yeah. I'm gonna donate to world peace, United Way. Nah, gotta get religious. Gotta get intergenerational. It's gotta get lineage. That's the real change, and no amount of persecution is gonna stop us. Make it happen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Milan. It was wonderful. All right, family, let's take a few moments to share our reflections, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a good sharing. Reverend Green, would you like to share with us today?
Of course, Dr. Seidel. Thank you for giving me yet another opportunity to share my heart. One of the things that the heart of the Father, the song that we sing oftentimes, and it says, "Our Father cries in loneliness because he cannot share his heart." But luckily for us, we have one another every morning with whom we can share our hearts. And I think that this openness of heart is really working to foster, the sibling realm of love. When we come together each day and talk to one another, we're overcoming, many historical barriers that have kept us apart. But, through this kind of, service, Dr. Reverend Stephen spoke about in the online, blessing of being able to talk to one another every day. I think we're growing up, astronomically, in love through this give and take action. Because when we have give and take, then we come to resemble, one another. So more and more, I feel I'm inheriting so much, wisdom, so much knowledge and understanding through this kind of, devotional life. So I'm so grateful to God for, the mother of peace, because when we look at true mother's life, I look at my wife at the same time and to see, what are the parallels, that is being manifested, in my own family. And I can see many, many, parallels. And so, I'm grateful to True Mother, but I'm also grateful to my own wife for enduring, the hills and valleys of the providence and not giving up. So, and for all the sisters on the line, we're not giving up. We are not going anywhere. We're going to follow this path all the way up to the throne of God. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Reverend Green. All right, family. Do we have any prayer requests today? Well, I'm sure you all have your own list.
I was going to say, let's continue to pray for Heavenly USA, because they really love Harlem. They really love Harlem. They don't want to leave Harlem. I heard from another reverend, in the church, he was saying, "Oh, they used to come here." They used to come here, and I was like, okay, Harlem giving them that love. They feel that love in Harlem, so keep on pouring that love on them. And
Thank you.
Oh, your Mama Kathleen, y'all keep pouring that love on them, okay? Because they feel our love, and they're ready to just restore Harlem. They're ready to come in, So
Great.
keep praying for them, okay?
Great. Yeah. Any other prayer requests?
Yesterday, I was listening to prayer request, and the name Michael Jenkins was mentioned. I don't know what's going on with him. So if there's someone who is aware of what Reverend Jenkins is going through, if he's going through anything, then please let us know so we can be more specific in our prayer.
We have Juanita?
Yeah. Well, it's just that one of the leaders was telling me that Larry Moffitt just got out of the hospital. He's been running, trying to go to the Hill, and he got really sick, and she said that Michael keeps going. He keeps going, but she can see the wear and tear, and but he keeps going. And we just need to pray that he can just grab some of the young people and just, take them with him, not one or two, but if he can just get 5 or 6 and take them to the hill and teach them what he knows, I think that would be good. I think it would be good if that could happen. But just really pray for his strength, because I heard he was going to the hill just about every day for the Japanese situation.
Yeah. For those who don't know what she means by that, it's Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill. Washington D.C. The hill is like a nickname, but it's the capital of Washington D.C.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
So does that answer your question, Reverend Green?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
And we want to keep praying for Kathy Winings too.
Yeah.
It's really suffering.
May I ask one more thing, if you could, please? Just in general, I don't know if you heard what happened at the border here in Niagara Falls, upstate New York. We had
a bridge on the
yeah, right. So I feel that our going forward and continue to building community, and as we're talking about the Zoom and the prayer, our presence, two parents' presence, first of all, the brothers and sisters' presence is a protection for the country. I say it's Psalm 91 every day for the whole country and for the whole world. But I think it's everybody's moving forward, keep going, and no matter what. This particular thing definitely wanted to, cause some damage. Then nobody got hurt, actually, except a little injury, some injury for one of the Border Patrol agents. But other than that, it was just the demonic force destroyed themselves. And today is Thanksgiving, is parade, and all that kind of stuff. There's high alert everywhere. And I think our prayers and our steadfast connecting our hearts with each other and giving and offering our thanks to God is a great protection for the country and for this generation. I mean, the stuff can go really bad, but we can avoid it by just keeping going. So thank you, Reverend Milhan, for your amazing insights that you gave today also. Thank you again. Amen. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Sebastian. Yeah, let's pray for peace today, especially with the Thanksgiving parade, because I read on the news that, it could become a dangerous situation today with the pro-Palestinian people, pro-Palestinian people. They were advised to take over the parade, destroy the parade, make it be all about pro-Palestine. So, just be safe. Just be safe out there today, everybody. Just pray for everybody to be safe. Okay, so let's begin our residence prayer with the 3 Abaji Omanis.
Shimon residence prayer, Jesus.
Let's pray. Everybody, let's pray.
Thank you, Heavenly Parent,
Most
for
beloved
this
Heavenly Father.
moment.
Good morning, Heavenly Parent. Good morning.
The brothers and sisters,
Heavenly Parent,
let's call
so we can gather here
so much,
this morning.
our hearts together, Father. Thank you for giving us this
Parents, we are doing
Wish our
to work together
reverence prayer,
to
unison prayer,
holiday of hearts. Father, two fathers,
Thanksgiving.
Father,
Two mothers long life, good health,
help and support from the spirit
pray
world.
for healing.
level of freedom that we need.
For one more God,
of the harvest.
All the great secrets in the spirit world. Bring it out.
The destruction is
Physical
really
harm
great.
on this earth.
And no problem.
Ultimately, we don't want no broken
Their
hearts
tradition,
anymore.
the people
All of our
are
elder sisters,
pray that we
Brothers and
can love each
sisters
other,
who have
help
been
Jesus,
each other.
use it, use
Heavenly
it.
Father,
in community.
demons
Prayers in your
who
heart.
fought
Jesus,
from themselves horrific
Father
stuff they've
God,
been doing.
strength, if we
The tradition
Their hands can be
to be
bandaged.
all of our teenagers stepping away. I plead the
Exactly.
blood.
They have to heal.
destroyed
Might
and
they deserve to grow up.
yes,
Yes, if you died,
To come.
parade all to pray
sad, sad
break
day.
Till the way back.
tradition
It's not
where we can
All of
live holy.
dynamic.
this
and
to make it last.
Lost this world
pray for
Journey,
Came from all
all
different
along
the
This is
journey
what the devil
background,
wants. He wants to
that
throw atomic
the
bombs
culture and
America.
tradition. Father,
That
people are there
in
traveling,
we can bring
journey,
in a
listen,
we
now
pray
on the
Heavenly
topic or on the
things
line
are
right now.
changing.
so that we
Thank you.
see
Amen.
Father working
Relationship,
God,
brother,
love, and
parent and child
love.
relationship,
Don't worry
other
about all these
family
other big
relationship.
words.
My
Don't
brothers
worry
and
about all
sisters
these
have
Mankind
love.
supposed to be a
secret of
family
our life.
relationship under God.
Just for love,
For the kingdom of
just
heaven is
for
yourself.
The original
pray that
ideal is
providing,
free from
created us for our
My name is
harm,
John.
just
The heavenly
children,
USA.
pray that we
so
can go forward
the whole world
be
Other
in
brothers and
heaven.
sisters, Leo,
in the
God,
shoes of
every
his
day,
daughter.
every day,
with the
hate
grandma,
looking
each
at
other,
children, dear God. Hey,
hate
lift
and fighting each
Pray
other.
Heavenly
somebody
Father,
today, God, every day.
As a
all the
pray for
children,
Wow,
peace
third
generation for all
generation,
in
mankind.
the
America.
world,
Pray that
up in
Now,
nation every day.
life from an
One
maybe
they
you
can
don't
one person
understand
you
your
love,
heart.
seed for the
person
for
that they
foundation
have
Understand
of
your
the
heart.
massive
how
the
land.
love
harvest
it
can
is.
come.
For one person every day you love
Because of Jesus,
the young children
The
and
mothers and the
other,
fathers
Our family.
and that's our true
Pray
parent,
that they
beautiful.
they destroy
take the
Our young
so
maybe
children.
that
with the daughter,
the
Thank
heritage
you for heavenly
America
USA.
Christmas
Pray
all
for
this whole
and
season
love, love,
because God,
come to
you
an
are
end.
in it, and I
life.
know
Most people don't
Lord,
know
our children.
give us
true happiness doesn't come
create
from physical
Dear
within
things.
God,
our
help
family,
Just
within
need the
our
broken
presence and the
can
environment,
dwelling.
it is so
can help
difficult to
help restore peace.
and shelter.
Over York, dear God, been
Ultimately,
walking,
Father, our happiness comes from really
yeah, I
Restore
came,
doing
dear
something
God,
good,
and I
no
know
matter what it is. A
every day
smile,
Lord,
you
help
help
us
prayer,
all
especially.
the young and
for
all
America.
Smile gives a tremendous
May
much.
Heavenly Father
within ourselves.
But your mother, for her
So
children,
much
and
challenge.
mother
great
that she has met. I'm sure there's so many people
you help us
caring to her every day in her
Our
mind,
society and nation.
Heavenly
love, completely giving
you
it.
don't know how to raise
And to me,
To listen to
oh,
you.
there's
Father,
Lord,
Holy
Our
Father,
pandemic.
high blood pressure,
Father,
We're supposed to connect
that
with
the
you
heart of
directly.
Jesus.
proceed,
Be
It's
persistent,
not
America.
others are
no persistency can you take it.
Pray for America.
Come
coming
risen,
to you. Let's see
Pray for the
our
Lord,
task
churches.
this
what
world,
as a man,
Bring us
as a woman,
keep
nation,
on going,
to be
state,
on going.
every state,
for
Never
America.
fail.
everywhere,
See that all
well, the
these
shelter of the
is
Most
for a
High,
man.
the shadow of the
pain in
Almighty,
our
say
heart,
Pray that
It's still
pray
addiction, God,
Heavenly
turn
Father.
them to
stand up.
we have
Pray
falsely
Heavenly
and
Father.
We are good. We got tradition and
I
culture.
lift up
so many
Bring
things that are
Love the
needless,
war.
missing right now.
So now
mother,
it's
dear
time
God, I know.
you have
Love in the
coming so close to each
world,
other.
we are protected.
Technologies,
pray for
communication,
Heavenly Father.
The terror of the night, no
freedom.
end.
shining.
pray that
Long chocolate
your
cake and
will
it can be good, old
Sounds
school.
my father.
Reveal
pray that
And
and
you're
my
right, you
heaven.
your will on earth going
Father,
on
help
I
us,
spent
Jesus.
Proclaim
As we
restoration
may
on
have
my
no
government
resources
heaven
and
and
may
earth
not own
shall be
that
What's
good.
wrong
that
with
when
you?
But
Oh, you don't
because of
you
such
don't
a
repent.
Lord, your
Angels
will
when
on
they
earth
come. Angel.
stretchment,
Have you
Father,
ever gone
been
to my
of
sister?
our life.
to
There.
them that prepare
I love you. Help me.
So ask me, I'll
for
tell you
Reverend
everything. She knows my name. I'll say,
so we
never
are
mind.
grateful that
Call
and
me in a
Father,
man's
that
house.
right
family, Father,
Reverend
can
Dr.
never
Ben
Give her all of
As
you.
to
turn
Strong.
Hallelujah.
to make a drink and we do not be very
Let them come, but then
Give him wisdom,
we
grace,
all
and
our
resources
girls
bless
wife.
you, Father, and we effort
and the Heavenly Father.
unite
Well,
Pray for Dr.
don't
Ben
wish.
from
mind
our
Don't know.
UPS, Father, I pray for UPS,
Data memory.
Father, I pray
Red
for all
Sea.
those leaders,
market, oh God.
Israel.
Always running.
who whatever the night,
Lord,
Father,
and
pray that
for
you
the
raise
legs, the
great
mouth, and the
Today's my
arms.
day,
financial
Father.
pray
way.
that they can
And Father, brothers and sisters
Battle
who have
is
been
Mind and
rich,
know
been
Father.
influenced in
Help
certain
us,
run.
United
camps,
States, to know how to reach out to those
even their own eyes, Father says it's not.
Thank you, everyone.
Imonidu Koto Ikongo Go Gori Go No Shira No Go Imhyang 일병 다시 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 주 있을
Chanjian, Champumalimge, Kyangbe. Paro. Now I have 3 cheers of Okmanse.
정부의 9시인 하늘 부모님 천지인 전부모님 victory for the Changchun Residents Prayer.
Okmanse. Thank you, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Thank
Happy
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Jim.
Have a wonderful
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Happy
Pastor Bill.
Thanksgiving, Ayako and Yog. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you. Thank
Pastor Bill.
you.
Pastor
Yeah.
Mill, how was yesterday's turkey drive?
Yeah, I want to show you some.
Turkey Drive. They
Oh,
gave
actually, let me put this down.
The corner.
So Joel was there and he took some video and things. I mean, that's it.
That's it.
And that's it.
Say.
Wow, you can come with this bed. That's so good. Who's that?
So the turkeys were done in like 15 minutes. After we
Wow.
started. Apostle Ramos was telling me it's probably because of the migrants. There's so many migrants out there right now getting turkeys and things. So, but yeah, that's the. So we finished and we just had, we're just out there. So we just were dancing and we were playing music and Apostle was preaching. And You know, I had a chance to pray, and he's getting all this stuff. It was fun. You know, I was thinking about Reverend Juanita actually talking about the new order, right? Well, the new order is just this free culture of, you know, pure dance. And you know, I also want to thank you, Reverend Juanita, for taking care of Heaven in the USA year after year, because we're at a point where they really are loved. I mean, Pastor Ramos she loved him to death, but she couldn't stop talking.
Oh,
Even at the end, we were still gathered around, and she kept going and going. You know, she saw Reverend Dawson, and she was so happy to see him. She said, "Wow, this is a blessing. This is a gift to see him," because I think, you know, she remembers him from the days of outreach. Really loved his spirit. So she was so happy. She was. We were out there until like 7 o'clock or something.
wow. Turned out to be a beautiful day, weather-wise. It was nice.
Weather-wise, it was good, and turnout was not an issue. Usually she has to kind of promote it, let people know we're out here to get your turkey, but this time they were gone. I mean, she was already giving out some turkeys even before we started, but
Hopefully the migrants have a place to cook those turkeys.
Good point.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's a question. I don't know if it makes sense to the migrants.
Let's help.
I want to share one little quick testimony, because before this event, we were tasked to get donations for like cups and napkins and bags to put these turkeys in. And so we went out to the grocery stores and asked for these kind of donations. And you know, at the end, Pop was saying, "Oh, get some cookies and hot chocolate." And so we were able to secure like this Julio from Town Mart. I had to explain what we're doing like to 4 different people. Finally, they're all sniffing us out, and it's like, "All right, okay, I'll get you something." So he gave us this big box of 6 of those Danish cookies, like 6 tins.
Oh, wow.
It was heavy. I'm like, "Wow, you really gonna give us this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I was with Catherine, and I said, "Can we please take a picture with you?" He's like, "Nah, I don't like taking pictures." I'm like, "Can I take a picture with him?" Like one of his employees. And he's like, "Okay, fine." Okay. He came down. And then we took a picture with him. I have it. I could share with you, but and in the end, we didn't need to buy anything.
Okay.
Because even the hot chocolate we didn't really need. But she said like to find some, but we finished all the hot chocolate just right at the end. And I think, you know, one of the GPA, she was so inspired by that. She really felt God had his hand all over this from beginning to end. And I don't know, I just imagine this world, right? We're going to like this new order where we all have just what we need in the spirit of the Lord. You know, like to me, that's the kind of world I want to live, where there's the mysterious orchestration of everyone just getting what they need, and we don't need anything excess. And so anyway, that's my little happy Thanksgiving.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that. It was really wonderful. Thank you, Joel. You know, Reverend Green, please tell Joel we're so proud of him. You know, really.
It's funny. You know, Minister Joel brought this light. Do you see this ring? At first, when Apostle saw that, she's like, we don't need that kind of light. And then she was like, you know, maybe it's all right. Maybe it's okay. That light turned out to be really important, because it was getting dark, and they had like some VIPs came by. You know, there's like someone that wanted to give her an award, and you know, the NYPD came, and that light became like the place everyone stood there, you know, and so the cameras and everything could take it.
Oh, good.
So
good.
Joel, Mr. Joel, he really came through here this time, and he sees the importance of capturing all of this. So anyway.
Yeah, he posted it on his Facebook page too. Yeah. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Be safe out there if you're going out. Enjoy. Eat a lot.
Happy day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless you. Thank
Okay,
you.
God bless you. Have a happy
God
day.
bless you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.